Hey everyone, welcome to Movie Club. Happy Valentine's Day. One of my favorite love stories on screen is between Polly Prince and Reuben Feffer. You guessed it, Along Came Polly. Along Came Polly is a romantic comedy set in New York City starring Jennifer Aniston and Ben Stiller. This movie came out in 2004 and is directed by John Hamburg. Ben Stiller's character Reuben Feffer is a risk analyst in New York City who's got his life perfectly planned out. On his honeymoon, his wife cheats on him with a scuba instructor at St. Bart's, and he goes back to New York City completely confused, having to start his life over. He runs into Jennifer Aniston's character, Polly Prince, who he knew from middle school, and she's just basically his opposite, a fun-loving, free spirit, and he really wants to get himself back out there, so he asks her out, and when they go on a date, it's a complete disaster, and you're like, okay, these two are opposites, it's not gonna work out. What's so great about it is he really does want to stretch and grow as a person and learn from her, and then in turn she learns from him, and it's sort of a chaotic disaster, and they really grow to be a great fit for each other in that they are bringing such different things to the table. The meat of this movie that's really fun is Reuben Feffer, sort of a fish out of water, trying to keep up with Polly, doing all her fun things, going salsa dancing and trying all this crazy, spicy ethnic food when Reuben has irritable bowel syndrome. So the whole movie is him trying to force himself out of his shell because he just really wants to be around her because she's such a breath of fresh air to this small, confined box that he's lived in his whole life. And Reuben helps Polly a lot see that the chaos and the hot messness of her life is ultimately not making her happy and not working. Philip Seymour Hoffman plays Sandy, Reuben Feffer's best friend, and he's just a great character, someone that is just very stuck in the past. What I love about this movie is it's really about identity, like how you're navigating through the world and what are the forces of your being that are driving your decisions and driving your way of being. Ego is a big one we all can relate to. Is your ego driving you to make certain decisions and be with certain people? Sandy is a great example of his ego is just driving him forward, and he's not able to humble himself enough to sort of see the gifts he really does have and how he can be happy and enjoy his life. Because he's living in the past and his present is very miserable because he's not sure what new to create for himself. Ben Stiller's character, Reuben, has this identity. I'm this perfectly put together person who knows the technical aspects of every risk I take, and he's very successful in that. So that seems to work for him until the wrench in the plan is you can't control everything. And Polly Prince's character, she is also driven by this identity, this ego of like, this is who I am. She had some trauma in her childhood, she describes to Reuben later on in the movie. And she's like, I don't want to stay anywhere. I flit around the world and I do what I want. And she's very afraid of commitment. And that's her identity, is no one's going to hold me down. No one's going to define who I am. And it's such a great line. Reuben's like, she's like, I don't have a plan. And Reuben's like, your plan is that you don't have a plan. That's a plan. Like, that's the identity you've created for yourself. You can learn so much from these characters. And then Debra Messing is fantastic as Reuben's wife that cheats on him. And she sort of has this identity that was crushed very early on. She's not the A story, obviously, but that's also an interesting character. She's very confused about what she wants. She gets married and she has that plan, and then she meets the scuba instructor and she can't hold herself back, and then she's back and forth. She wants Reuben back, and so her identity is she has no idea who she is. At the end, everyone's at Sandy's off Broadway play that he completely tries to take over because he needs to be the star, and it just turns into a complete disaster because he is not, and he hasn't been able to face that in his life. Reuben's dad has this great speech to Sandy because he really needs to hear it, but it's for everyone. It's about letting your identity and your ego get in the way of you being happy and enjoying the ride of life. What do you guys love about Along Came Polly? What are some great quotes that you remember from this movie? Philip Seymour Hoffman's character has some fantastic quotes from this movie that I'll never forget, like T, T, T. I'm burning, my lungs are burning. Yeah, it's a good one. Let me know what you guys think. Happy Valentine's Day.